something.
All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started.
So, kind of a smaller crowd today, not a problem. Today we're gonna talk about, so I honestly, I think originally, Brittany asked me to speak around social media. I don't really know what the topic of today is, but I think it was somewhere around state top of.
It is,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah,
Okay.
staying top of mind.
So, we can touch a little bit on social media. I'm not a super big fan of social media, so I'm probably not gonna really speak with too much passion on that. But I am super passionate about staying top of mind, okay? So first and foremost, I'm just curious, what might be some efforts that you guys do currently to stay top of mind?
I send them the MLS app to use
Okay, and how often would you send that?
every time I talk to somebody.
You're just, that's kind of like an initial, more like an initial type
Well,
kind of
Well, I send
conversation?
my contact
Icebreakers.
information, and then I send like my Facebook page, just so they have it, my business one,
Mhm.
and then I send the MLS.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
Anybody else?
do Instagram.
Instagram? So by just posting on Instagram, how often or how consistently do you do that?
I do like 2 posts in a week.
Okay, gotcha. Anybody else? So I got kind of more or less sharing some apps, that sort of thing, right? Posted on Instagram.
Yeah, like social media posts, I do one of those VIP groups,
And can
and
you
then
explain a little bit more about that?
the VIP group,
Yeah.
it's where you have like your sphere within a private Facebook group, and I do like a weekly $25 giveaway, or I'm just like, you might post and answer a question.
Gotcha. Very cool. Anything else we do?
Thumbs up,
Roll calls?
that's fine.
What's that look like? What are you calling them?
Either just catch up, market reports that went out,
Gotcha.
or the bed, or.
So you might use something that a tool that you use to stay top of mind, you might use that as an excuse to call, right? Awesome. How many of us are doing video? Yep. Anybody else? So. When you say you're posting on Instagram, what do you post?
I use sometimes post pictures, but if I'm doing like a walkthrough or a showing, I will record a video and also post that.
Okay, gotcha. Are we comfortable being on video? Yeah?
Yes, I am very comfortable.
And then you are showing up on video, what are you talking about?
I actually recorded my consumer notice oral disclosure because it's just easier. It took me about 50 times.
Gotcha,
Live,
yeah,
but, so I use that and I send that to them.
okay,
And then also I feel like they have a face.
yeah,
You know, this is a lot of times we're talking to people I haven't even met yet,
okay,
so then they have a face to put with
Gotcha,
the
yeah.
information.
okay, cool.
How long is that video?
Not long.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
I loved it, that's cool.
Anything else we're shooting video about?
To do it on this.
So I have one small little exercise for you that, so a lot of times when I consult with people and they're like, John, I know I should be doing video. I know I should be kind of be consistently kind of placing that in front of my people. At least once a month, you know, but I don't like to do so because one, I'm afraid to get on the camera. I'm not good at it. I don't know how to make myself look good. I hate hearing my voice. And two, I don't know what to say. Okay, so I think right there is where I want to camp out a little bit, is just maybe give you a little kind of some tips and tricks on how to generate content on video. Okay, so first and foremost, I would probably time block. It's always about scheduling time in your calendar, right? If it's not in your calendar, well, if it's not in my calendar, so it doesn't exist. So I would start there. So maybe it's, and then also, how consistently are we doing this? Like is there, do you have any sort of marketing or just any sort of way of attracting new business into your world? Is there a time block in your calendars for that?
No.
I need something from walking sense.
No. Okay.
I know I need that.
So if there's not activities in your calendar to attract business to your world, how do you attract business to your world?
I work another job.
Very sporadically, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not alone. Everybody's this way, unfortunately. It's just like, they get so caught up in business and kind of juggling thousands of balls that they have for each transaction, and they're like, oh, wait. I gotta, 3 months from now, I'm gonna be, kind of, birds are gonna be chirping and crickets or whatever are gonna be, I'm gonna hear them. And there's just not gonna be as much kind of noise in my world as I'm currently feeling, right? So regardless of I would say just the season that you're in your business, it's always super, super, super important to make sure that you're time blocking some sort of method to attract new business. Okay. Marketing. So how do we generate content? First and foremost, what I would do is go back to that trusty old Google Calendar of yours and put a time block in on, let's say Mondays, because Mondays, everybody doesn't want to do anything. Everybody's kind of catching up on the weekend. So let's put it in the time block that you're really not going to do it. So make sure you're doing it. Put it in there where you're actually going to do something. But that said, I would put recurring. So whether that's like, or, bi-weekly or monthly, I don't even like saying monthly because monthly is not enough time. And yet, if you are efficiently kind of working your database and you're doing the right activities and you've got it efficiently chiseled down to just once a month, that's great. But first and foremost, let's time block something in there. It's 30 minutes. 30 minutes for just one time is all I'm asking. And in that 30-minute time block, I just want you to ask yourself questions. Okay, so do not stop, do not answer them, just continue to write the question. If you personally were buying a home, selling a home, you had zero understanding or knowledge about real estate, what questions would you have? What concerns would you have, especially in today's market? And again, just keep writing those questions and don't answer them. And then once your time block's over, you probably have, if you don't stop, you're likely gonna have enough content there for the next 2 years of your business. Okay. So from there, it's like, what do I do with these questions, right? So I'm gonna give you an acronym. And then I'm still on the topic of video here, okay? So this acronym sounds like a lady's name. That's a D, by the way. Keller. Okay. This is a friendly little acronym that I like to use to help myself, one, write out my scripts. So write out anything that I need to talk about. So again, we're taking that list of 100 and 2,000, whatever, how many questions that you wrote down. And now we're going to put a framework to those questions that allows you to speak to the topic, whatever source, and also allows you to capture and retain the consumption of your viewer. So meaning by following this here will hold your viewer's attention to hopefully the last seconds of the video, all right? So with that, hook. No, it's not spelled H-O-O-K-E, it should hook, okay? Hook, so that's where the headline comes in. Those are your questions. So how do I buy a home in today's market when home prices are escalating and guess what? Interest rates aren't going down either, right? Hook. So what is something that's going to grab somebody's attention? Something, and using questions often helps too. Adding numbers. Here's 5 easy steps to securing your home in today's crazy market. Okay. So using those things certainly helps with the hook. So again, just kind of something that's going to stop somebody in their tracks. As Greg mentioned, our attention spans are stupid in America. What is going to stop somebody's thumb from scrolling through all that stuff? What is going to grab their attention and just at least make them think for a second, right? Before they go off to staring at other cats, whatever you're using, right? So hook. Again, it can be probably, I'm trying to think as far as length and maybe a sentence max. You don't want to kind of get it to the point where it's taking somebody's too much of their brain cells to consume and understand and read and that sort of thing, so hook, something that's gonna attract attention. Intro. This needs to be short and sweet. This is where you explain who you are and what you do, okay? So hi, my name is John Nayduch. I work here at Rooted Business Consulting. I help people save time and mind. That's it, short and sweet. Doesn't have to be a thing. Hey, this is Mike Braddock. I help people buy and sell properties. Okay, just kind of short and sweet. Now, this is my favorite one. This is really what's gonna grab people's attentions and more or less just allow them to stick around till the end. So it's out is lead. Okay, so this is where we're gonna poke some fears. Lead them into what the headlines are saying. So going back to that first kind of hook that I talked about, how am I supposed to buy a home in today's market when home prices are escalating and interest rates are all-time high? Well, good news is, you're not the only one. But I can imagine that feels like crap. I can imagine, you're probably used to seeing these 3% interest rates, and that's what you want. You don't want to sell your home now and quadruple your interest rate. That probably doesn't feel good. Good news is, so that's where the L is. So you're leading them in their emotions. You're poking their fears, poking the bear, and that sort of thing. Okay. Now D is where we deliver. So going back, well, good news is, on average, we're at the historical average of interest rates. While I understand that 3% sounds lucrative, but we're still at average. So not only that, I know this lender that is basically offering anybody a free refi in the event you lock in now. And 2 years later, they'll more or less waive your refi charges. Okay. So now we're leading them, or I'm sorry, delivering the result or the answer that they were looking for. Okay. And then finally, if they've done enough to stick around, watch your video. Now we have the opportunity to ask. If you're interested in learning more tips and ways to secure your home in today's market when home prices are high, as well as interest rates, get in touch with me here. Any questions on Folda?
Can you, I was starting to take notes. Can you give another example?
Lead.
Coming out of the intro.
So lead is, again, I circled it because it's the most important out of all. It's really when you want to tap into what people are currently feeling, their emotions, highs or lows, It's where you just lead. So for example, that's where I was saying, so hook would be a super whatever, some sort of catchy headline. How am I supposed to buy a home in today's market when home prices are super high as well as interest rates? Intro, hi, this is Mike Braddock, help people buy and sell real estate. Lead. So today I want to camp out with this topic because it's just super, super tough in today's market to understand that, hey, I'm still gonna buy a home and I'm gonna have equity in it, especially when somebody's used to seeing a 3% interest rate, now they're gonna lock into something that might be 3 times that rate. It probably doesn't feel good. It probably has you wondering how you're gonna afford a new home. Are you gonna be able to afford groceries because your interest payment's so high, so like really just poking at any possible negative feeling that they could be feeling about that topic.
Okay.
I like what you said about like leading them through the emotion.
Yeah, it's all about the emotion. It's really understanding that emotion that they're feeling and then just putting words into it. How did that emotion arrive? You know what I mean? Okay, and then the D is just more or less you giving them the solution. Okay, good news is that, you're not the only one in this mess, Also, it's been, in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been a consistent, known fact that we see about the 3 or 4% interest, appreciation rate. Or you can refinance, so it's just giving them solutions, you're delivering solutions. And then the A is just more or less you asking them for business. So if you're interested in learning more, let's sit down for a free strategy session. I'm showing you how you can personally secure a new home and afford it. Okay.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome. Any other questions on that? Okay, so beyond that. So that's just video and just teaching you, it's not even, this really isn't, I mean, this will teach you how to generate content based on 20 questions. That process will help you give you any sort of video product that you need. Again, you could do this matter of an hour and have enough video content for years, okay? If you're sending out one video per month, if you're sending out two, then you might need a little bit more time blocks, right? So on top of that, there's also, that's just a framework, okay? On top of that, there's three key elements when staying top of mind that are super important to just write your content on as well. So first and foremost is personal. Okay, I want to be personal, hyper local, and relevant to the real estate industry. Okay, so let's kind of back up a little bit. I don't want to talk about personal first. Relevant to the industry, pretty self-explanatory, right? If you personally are promoting a real estate business, then you probably have to have some sort of content in your staying top of mind kind of plan that has something to do with the real estate industry, right? So what does that mean? So again, we can kind of create some videos explaining some heartburn in that people are feeling, or we can even use that to explain processes. So for example, what are the 5 steps in selling my home? You know, something as simple as that. You can give somebody some sort of education-based video on that. Not only that, in today's world, there's basically consumers wise, there's really 2 things that all consumers want. They want access to all homes. They want instant equity. They want to click a button and show them how much equity they have now, right? So the first one, the access to all, inventory has been limited for the last 7 years, right? We've been in an inventory shortage for a very, very long time. So that's one of the biggest things that people want. So what I would recommend with that is one content piece being listings. Okay, now that said, listings can generate traffic to all sorts of places for you. Okay. Do we all have some sort of IDX website? Do we know what that means?
Say more.
So IDX just stands for Internet Data Exchange, and if you guys rep or factor anything, is the KW kind of site, yeah, you all have IDX sites, okay?
Yeah.
Question is, are you using them? Okay. So meaning, when you send something, an email, with a listing, do you guys have, like say somebody registered on a website or something, do you guys have auto emails that are sent out to them? Or listings, so say the buyer comes into your world and starts searching on your site, and they fill out some parameters of what they're looking for. Now are they kind of saved in your world, and then they are then being sent emails for new listings every day?
I do it from,
Okay.
They would also be able, if someone, clicks on your website link, request more information, I wanna look at this house.
Yeah.
That will feed directly into your command platform.
Okay.
And there's a way that you can set up smart plans to
Gotcha.
have a trigger set, that when that lead comes in, you can absolutely have automated,
Cool.
smart plan set to go.
Okay. So where I'm going with that is you guys, social media, this is kind of one of those things that I would really rely on social media for, and also email. So like if you're not automatically dripping, or the system command's not set up correctly to the point where your people are automatically getting dripped on, based on their search parameters. Now that's actually a completely different thing than what I'm talking about. So you can send out what in my kind of, I guess I call it personally, in my business, I call it a rail report. So it is simply just a listings email. So you take your database of people that know, like, and trust you, not necessarily all your cold leads that are coming in from all sorts of places. Not saying that this information is not relevant to them, but again, kind of focusing on database here would be my goal. But once a month, I would recommend sending a list of listings to your database. Okay. Now they don't necessarily have to be your listings. Okay. You can ask some other people in the office, hey, do you mind me promoting any listings that you might have this month? But ultimately, what I would recommend is taking getting a list of listings and then just sending that to your people, because that's what they want. Okay. And ultimately taking your listing, whatever, say a thumbnail of a photo, and driving that traffic back to your website. Okay. So they're staying in your world. Okay, because I'm assuming in the back end, if they click some buttons, they're forced registration, leads, and then they're coming back into your world, right? So once a month, if you have the ability to generate some sort of email that's not necessarily already being, that's not an automatic drip campaign, to send out set of listings, okay? Not only that, now we can also put those listings on our social media channels, while also including the link to your website, okay? So that's the main thing is, while we're doing all this stuff, we're promoting ourselves on social media, it's great. I think though, we're just missing one extra step. The majority of us are missing one extra step to bring people back into our world. Social media is great. It's a great way to communicate with people in today's world. However, in my opinion, it should be viewed as mass media, okay? Do we understand the difference between mass media and just like, say, regular marketing? So mass media are like your billboards, okay? People are not necessarily gonna drive by a billboard and call you on it, okay? I mean, they might, I'm not saying that that's the zero probability of that happening. So that's not the intention of it, okay? The intention of that is just for you to be massively distributed. So if everybody's kind of, so that you're staying in what's called omnipresence world, okay? Omnipresence simply means that your brand is seen everywhere. The mass media just helps amplify that, okay? But it's not necessarily like direct marketing, okay? So with social media, it's the same thing. I would try to get the understanding that social media is more like a billboard. It's there to amplify your business, right? So I need to personally make these smaller asks, like sending somebody a listing with some sort of URL that's directed back to my website. So therefore, they're going to be asked to register on my website to get more information. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So omnipresence. First, let's relevant. So we should really talk about relevance, local and then personal information for your content, right? So local, a lot of people, they're like, well, they're going to read the national headlines. That's really what that means, is you can certainly use national headline data because that's what a lot of media kind of touts, especially this thing with like the NAR kind of stuff, right? That's national information. Our local information is completely different, because people are freaking out. Well, there goes buyer's agents, right? And yet, did you know that in the state of Pennsylvania, buyer agency has actually been in effect since 1998 or something? So that's for the West Coast, it has nothing to do with us. We've been practicing and abiding by buyer agency and never had any of those issues for the last 20 years, Is that kind of, again, national headlines versus local might be completely different, right? Not only that, it gives you the opportunity to talk about your community, okay? Community is a big thing. If you can advertise or just announce things that you're just super passionate about, I'm gonna kind of bleed a little bit and more into the personal thing too. If you can show some sort of action, doesn't have to be any, like, for example, Dave Hook himself, it's pretty big brand, right? He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got a brand ambassador program. He's got Project Lamp, where they give out $100,000 a year to kind of people in need. That's a big thing, right? How am I supposed to compete with that? It doesn't have to be that big. It doesn't have to be that earth shattering, right? Just something that's personal. I have clients that I help kind of market for and that sort of thing. They're just super passionate about the Eagles football team, and then they basically share their personality and they send all their database a schedule for like the Eagles calendar, right? Again, nothing earth shattering. It's just showing you your audience, who you are. And while you might not connect and might not stick to everybody, you're at least showing who you are and you're going to stick with some people, right? So that's another thing. So being local is kind of one of those things that kind of, you just got to make sure you're talking about the local stuff versus national headlines, and then the personal element. So the personal will go the first. Okay, people, again, kind of wrapping this back into this thing right here, this lead. Tapping into people's emotions. When you can connect and relate to people on that level is really what's going to make you stand out and what people are going to remember you by. Okay. Silly enough, this is this crazy example, we've probably heard it 1,000 times. So Dave Hook, this one time, oddly enough, had a fear of public speaking. He belonged to this coaching company called Real Estate Peaceful, and they asked him to present on some sort of, I think it was like time blocking or something. And he started freaking out. He panic attacks, had to go to therapy and that sort of thing. And he wrote about it in a newsletter article, 12 years ago. And people still to this day come up and talk to him about that fear and then the issues that he was having, because it tapped into that personal, emotional aspect. Okay. So while we think we need to talk about, hey, I have this bazillion-dollar listing, I'm the best, I sell the most units, I sell the most volume. While all that kind of is traditionally what people think they should be talking about, it's not. Hey, I just had a dog pass, like, wow, that's huge, right? And then just talking about that, and just the emotions, and then how other, many other people can relate to that and the emotions that they were feeling. That's really what's gonna stick. Okay, versus, hey, here's the market's up 3% from last month. Listings are up, listings are down actually, but sales are up. That's really what people. That makes sense? Okay. Moving on from that, so the question would be, so now, okay, I have this understanding of how to shoot video in the framework. I know what to say now that I time block my 20 questions exercise. I understand the content types, so hyper local, relevant, and personal, right? Omnipresence, I kind of just briefly touched on that. So omnipresence just means that you're showing up everywhere. So, try to get your face, your name, and brand in anything you can. Right. So as I mentioned, social media is just one kind of portion of what I would personally consider mass media. So on top of mass media, there's all sorts of other things that you can do, like billboards, which are super, super expensive and likely not returning. Bus stop ads, those types of things. Radio is slightly on a mass media kind of, I would say, in our local kind of market, and yet radio can really show a return. Social media, email. What's email like? Does anybody email besides any sort of smart plans or anything? Does anybody kind of put together some sort of email campaign beyond like what's already kind of created for them? No. Okay. Community events. If you can help get involved in community events where your name is kind of plugged. Well, again, go ahead.
Could you give an example of like an email campaign?
Yeah, so just anything that you're sending, so Command offers smart plans and that sort of thing where there's just all sorts of things that you can send your people. And traditionally, a lot of people send like market updates. So like what the difference in the market, how the market's performing versus last month. Personally, I send out I think our highest open rate is on listings. So if you can send some sort of listing, again, not necessarily just an auto drip. So meaning your website might send auto listings to whoever registers. This is just saying, hey, here's the listings that I personally have, some past pendings, some past solds, or whatever it might be. This is my personal kind of data, right? And then just sending that out, because it doesn't matter, it's just as long as you have a few in there, it shows them something and gives them something to click on, which they're just going to be routed back to your website anyway and have full access to the entire class, right? So yeah, listings, definitely a huge open rate. Because again, if there's anything I can tell that consumers want two things, they want access to all properties that they can get their hands on, and they want to click a button and understand the equity in their home. Okay, that's literally all they want. On top of that, we send out an educational based video. So we send out one video per month. And then I take somebody through a pain and pleasure in how to get in touch with us story. So it's all copy. It just basically takes somebody through, similar to the way I explain this framework, but it's just, there's no video. It's just all copy. It's all some things that they can bring that. But yeah, video and listings are by far. Not only that, so I would also kind of tee up your, the amount of content you're sending. I would be careful on how many times, what you're providing and how many times you're asking. Okay. So asking is probably one of the last things that you should be doing. Actually, so Gary Vee, anybody hear of Gary Vee, Vaynerchuk? No. Gary Vee is a pretty hardcore marketing guy back. I think he's still relevant, but about 20 years ago is really when he kind of was big. He wrote this book, it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. Okay, basically stating that you don't just, there's a lot of people out there that just kind of sell. Hey, constantly asking. Now, I'm not saying that those buttons, again, search all homes, free home valuation. If you're creating some sort of emails or something, those two buttons should be at the bottom of your emails every single time. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that those buttons are bad, but the asking portion, you should give value, and then ask. Okay. So on my plan, my 60 touch plan, what I do is I send out one printed piece per month, whether that's a postcard or a newsletter. And I send 3 emails per month. So the listings, value, some sort of educational based video, printed piece. That's our three jabs, jab, jab, jab. And then right hook comes with my all text email. Because it's more of a lead generation email. It takes them, again, kind of through the Hilda framework, but it's really, there's an ask. Hey, click here to see all homes in your area. Click here to get a free home valuation. I literally write that and highlight it. So that's my ask. Okay, so it's give, and then you can ask. Don't ask for anything without getting something first. Okay. Any other questions on that?
Thank you.
So we talked about, yeah, relevant, local, and personal. Personal, I can't speak enough about how important that element is. And it's really, it's crazy because you just talk about yourself. You don't have to like make up anything. You don't have to like, you just be true to who you are and your passions. And I promise you, people will more or less stick that and come back into your world. So that said, how do we plug ourselves? What should we be plugging, like about ourselves, our brand? I would say anywhere that you have some sort of branding. Now, if that's an email, social media, like a post even, okay, even like a social media post. I know a lot of people use, and again, I'm not here to talk about social media, but I know some people use business pages versus like say their personal pages. And even that, I mean, I can tell you how to generate $3 to $10 Facebook lead ads, like all day long. That's Kate. But nowadays, it's kind of questionable on whether or not I should be using a business page or my personal page in order to get the amount of reach that I want, right? It used to be before Yahoo and Google put all these, what is it, iOS 10, I think, to be honest with you, came out and they put all these kind of these spam filters in place, right? Facebook used to be a very lucrative place to generate leads, but now with all that stuff in place, it's not anything super special, okay? That said, what should I be placing on my content? 3 main elements when you're promoting a brand, okay? Your name, your face, and your brand. And your brand simply means your logo, okay? And the brokerage's logo. So your name, your face, and your brand. Your name, your face, and your brand. If you're sending anything out without 3 of those elements, add them, okay? Because that's really what's gonna plug. The thing is, this is all basically fed off of Gary Keller's MREA. Okay, does anybody read the red book in here? Okay. All right, well, I read it a few times. I can tell you, it's very, I mean, to this day, even though it's 20-some years old, it's very important, okay? And really, he basically said, Gary told us 20-some years ago, that if you place your name, your face, and your brand in front of your audience 33 times throughout the year, you've essentially done enough to capture and retain their mind share to think of you anytime they have a life change. And then based on that, for every 12 people in your database, you can expect 2 transactions by just placing your name, your brand, and your face in front of people 33 times throughout the year, okay? So from there, is there anything, like, does anybody have any questions on where to place that? Like, does that make sense? Like your headshots, are we placing, like, are your headshots on stuff? Like, are we putting logos on stuff? And then ultimately, obviously your names, right? Okay. So that said, let me think here. if you're placing your name and your brand and your face on stuff, where, like, does it kind of get to the point where it's like, does it look weird? Like, should I be putting it on my Facebook pictures or like what? What does that mean, right? So I guess what I'm trying to do is segue into speaking the native language of the platform that you're using, okay? So, who here uses ChatGPT? Yeah? What do you use it for?
I use it to write almost any content that I need to write for.
Anybody else? Anybody else have any kind of like reasons or where does the tool come in handy?
So I was using it to help me think out, like, I wanted to host events, so I put it in what ideas I wanted to be able to
Yeah.
share with people. And then I put all in there and whether it was like monthly, what it would look like monthly or quarterly.
Cool.
And then threw it all in there and keep the whole.
Did you know that you can basically use ChatGPT also to rewrite things to make sure that, so here's the thing, you should go also back to Jab, right, book, Gary Keller's book, or Gary Vaynerchuk's book. He also told us in there that we need to speak natively to the platforms or the applications we're using, okay? So for example, if I were to write an email, or let's call it a YouTube video, whatever it might be. I'm shooting a video, YouTube video, and I create the description, the copy in that video. And now I want to take that description and I'm gonna just more or less recycle this content and use it into other platforms. Now I'm gonna take that laundry list of description from YouTube and then place it into Facebook and send that out. Do you think that would probably be the appropriate thing to do? No, okay. And the reason is because every platform has a different native language. Everybody talks differently. For example, now Facebook might kind of get away with the YouTube description because it has a longer description in its language. However, if I were to take 5 paragraphs and put it into like, say, Instagram, that's really probably not gonna work, right? Because Instagram's descriptions are maybe a sentence or 2 long, right? So while you can recycle all the content you use, the only thing I suggest is to make sure that you're using it in the appropriate native language of the platform. Okay, and the tool that's going to do that instantly for you is ChatGPT. Okay, so I can write one piece of content and have it more or less rewritten for whatever platform. It could be in the form of an email, it could be a Facebook description, YouTube description, Instagram description. It could be, can you create a text message for me? Can you create, I don't know, a video script for me? Can you take those 20 questions that I originally have and give me 100 different variations of each question? Okay, so super, super, super important tool when you're creating content. Okay.
How do you call that application again? ChatGPT?
ChatGPT, yeah, yeah. And then again, it's always using ChatGPT is the kind of, the way to use ChatGPT is learning how to communicate. Okay, and just kind of playing around with different commands. Not only that, so for example, can you write me a lead generation email that's going to attract buyers into my world? It could be something as simple as that. And then say it doesn't sound right. Say it comes out and it sounds super formal and it just doesn't sound like you, right? So then now it's like, okay, that's great. I appreciate you doing that. But now can you take that same description or that same email copy and make it less formal? Can you add this sort of element of personality to it? And then it will literally rewrite everything for you and sound a lot more kind of smart.
I love asking it to add emojis to it. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
throws all the little emojis in where it's appropriate and I don't have to.
Yeah, yeah. If there's and then now that said, a lot of people are like, well, is ChatGPT kind of killing creativity? It is, it most definitely is. And yet,
I think it's.
are our roles to be creative
Yeah,
directors? Probably not, right?
well, it's gonna add to that, like not all of us feel creative
Yeah.
are used to being creative, so it kind of helps you to get out of your own head.
That too, it
And
gives
get it
you,
And
yeah,
somewhere else, and let something, let it generate for you, and then you can tweak it to make it sound like you.
yeah. And that's it, a lot of people are like, oh, this doesn't sound right, or this isn't accurate, just know ChatGPT is not gonna be 100% accurate, you know? And I even think, like, to be honest with you, I think the data in there stopped in like 2020. So in the last 4 years, it hasn't been updated until you buy their the version that you have to pay for, right? So it's still gonna take a little bit of tweaking here and there. And yeah, it's gonna save you an enormous amount of time. And that too, it's gonna teach you how to weight stuff. It's oddly enough, I'm very confident ChatGPT knows the Hilda format, because all this stuff is written in that way. Any other questions about ChatGPT? Or any other questions about how it might help your lives or businesses or anything like that?
So I came in late, so I apologize, but you were talking about the videos, is there something you do as you're doing the videos that you can, because someone had mentioned something to me before, and I haven't personally used it, where you can take a video with, even on your phone, and then you can chunk it into like smaller segments, or you can do like a longer video and make it into a
Yeah,
smaller.
so especially when Greg is talking about the shorts in today's world, like the short kind of reel style videos. Yeah, to that point, you can literally take, so when I was talking about this Hilda format, this is probably for more something along the lines of 2 to 3 minute long kind of format. And yet, to your point, yeah, so you can, for the people that, gosh, I don't even know what they call them, but that demographic that are into this short stuff. Yeah, you can take basically a 2 to 3 minute video and chunk it into 20-second sections, you know, and just giving them the meat, and then they're gonna, hey, okay, this is a series now. So first 20 seconds, you're gonna get today. Skip a couple days, here's a second kind of clip, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. Yeah, you can certainly kind of break that down. But I think that said, where I was more or less trying to coach you on is to help you generate a list of questions. So did you hear that?
I can at the very end of it.
Okay, so my suggestion would be to time block, say 30 minutes to an hour. And just start writing questions. That if you were not in the real estate industry, like if you were personally thinking about buying or selling a home, what questions would be going through your head? What emotions would be going through your head with national headlines? Okay, so just start writing questions. Don't answer. Just continue to write them and don't stop until your time block's over. That right there would give you essentially, who knows, probably enough content for the next year or two, just by answering those questions on video. Okay. Let me see here. There's those things, email. So yeah, again, I think the biggest, and then the other thing is if you guys are just trying to generate leads from social media organically, my highest recommendation on that is just to take your listing URL and put that into your Facebook feed somewhere and say, hey, here's my listing, X amount number of bedrooms, bathrooms, lot size, square footage. If you are interested in learning more about this property, I'll also put some photos on there. Give me something to click through, and then add the URL to your website. Okay, so
Yeah, and
that's huge right there.
that link that you share, the URL that you share, should 100% not be from the MLS.
Right, yeah,
And it should not be from Zillow.
right. It should be to
It
your
should
direct
be from
website.
your website.
Yours, yep. So people are
Your
forced to register on your website. Yep. Sure.
So, I'm to a video session.
Sure.
Other than subscribing to a photo like BlaBla,
Mhm.
can you embed videos into the email?
Yeah, the majority of platforms should provide that opportunity. It's literally just taking like, say, a photo of a front elevation, clicking on that and then adding the URL to the photo.
Okay, so wherever you're hosting, like videos from YouTube or whatever.
Yeah,
take-
or yeah, so to that point, yeah, or BombBomb, you can use the BombBomb link, you know, you put that BombBomb link in the photo itself, and then they just open up the BombBomb video. But yeah, my suggestion on that though, my recommendation, if you have the ability to, would be to use YouTube, and then consider, not only that, when you're using YouTube and writing the list of 100 and whatever 1,000 questions that you're doing, remember that the questions that you're asking are likely also the questions that people are typing into Google. So if you use YouTube, Google and YouTube are the same company, so you're likely gonna match up some algorithms, and you're typing in keyword phrases and words that are gonna match the YouTube videos, you know what I mean? So that would be my recommendation, if you can, is to kind of direct them back to YouTube. Okay. And any other questions?
You can't really use YouTube for, capture though. right?
For what?
Capture, lead capture.
I guess not, I mean, same thing with Facebook though, like Facebook and Instagram, like all that stuff is the same, there's not like an actual, okay, I watched the video and I click a button and now I'm generating the lead.
I was
right?
just wondering if we could link it to our blog on our websites. And then they're on our websites.
Oh, that too, yeah, that's definitely, yep, that's definitely something, so if you have some sort of additional like landing page on your website that could host your videos, yeah, that would be great, yeah. That would be great too. Since we're on that topic, we're trying to got 15 more minutes. Since we're on the Google topic, let's kind of think about that. But, who here has the Google My Business profile?
You like on Google Maps? Or-
Kind of, yeah, well, I mean, that's actually, that's probably right, yeah, Google My Business, it will show up on maps. So basically, if some of your typing in on Google, do you have a Google profile and do you have Google reviews? Yeah, and photos, hours, of operation, that sort of thing. Has anybody heard of Google Local Services? So that's not necessarily, that's an actual lead aggregator, so similar to Zillow, Realtor.com, that sort of thing. But Google Local Services is a great way to generate leads for now. They're not super affordable, but they're not $400 or $500 leads in Zillow. Okay, it might kind of cost you probably somewhere in the ballpark of 20 to 50 bucks, I think. So there, depending on what's going on in your profile. But that's just one thing to know that like, so there's three sections to Google, right? First, top, so if you were to Google something, real estate agent in Princeton County. Say that's the Google search. There's basically gonna be three elements. One's gonna be Google Local Services, it's gonna be the top thing that you see. So they're gonna get a bar of showing you agents in your local area that you can reach out to. Underneath that's gonna be your Google My Business section. That's where the map pops up. So based on this map, here's a list of options based on whatever you're searching for, right? And they're gonna be ranked based on SEO, so meaning how many keywords and that sort of thing are in your title, in your description, in all the meta tags of your website. Also your reviews. Okay, so do you have good reviews? That sort of thing. Do you have photos? Do you have hours of operation? Is the information in your Google My Business profile complete? Or is it 60%? Right? So that's the middle section. And below that is all your organic or your SEO Google stuff. Okay, so there's three elements to Google: Google Local Services, Google My Business, and organic or SEO. To show up on the very top, it's possible. Again, you're just gonna have to rank good, make sure your profiles are well, and they're kind of set with a workable budget. The middle section is more or less just based on your track record and your profile, and whether that's not, if it's updated. And then the last one, the SEO, is really based on your track record. Problem is that we're competing with big box names like Zillow and Realtor.com and that sort of thing, right? So to get ranked at the top of the first page on Google as a real estate agent is darn near impossible, right? Because we're just competing with somebody that's probably got some sort of $1 million in budget, right? That said, there are also other ways to get your name to pop up first. Pay-per-click kind of ads or SEO, that sort of thing. So if you are looking good. Pay-per-click is just essentially an ad kind of source similar to like a Facebook lead ad or their ads manager system. Google has one to more or less show up in ranking and that sort of thing as well. So, you have to get Google verified. Okay, so you will have to get Google verified. You have to provide them with information, you know, like some sort of proof that you are in business, insurance policies and that sort of thing. It takes a little bit, but it is very, very highly recommended and probably needed at this point in business. Okay, so if you don't have a Google My Business profile, just highly recommend doing so because what a lot of people do today as well. They rely on that source, so. Any questions about that? Well, hopefully I gave you some sort of tips and tricks on it being omnipresent. Again, staying top of mind, it's all about, again, three things: consistency in your communication to your people. Oh, one very, very, very big thing, to continue to grow your top of mind campaign. First and foremost is to build your audience, right? So you gotta make sure that you have a list of people that you want to stay top of mind to. Traditionally, those people that you know, like, and trust, okay? And not only that, people that know, like, and trust makes for better business. You know, it makes it more enjoyable than working with, say, I just got this internet lead, can't stand this person, we are completely opposite core values, but I do need a paycheck, right? So we're just gonna deal with it, right? So no, the dealing with your people allows you to kind of talk and then work with people you like, know, and trust. And then, so originally, let's build the list, continue to feed it every month. So as months progress, try to make it a goal to add, let's say, anywhere from 5 to 10 contacts to that list every month. And then continue to communicate with it, right? Offering value, again, jab, 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 right hook. Ask, or, you know, offer value, 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 and then you can ask. Provide them with a video, some sort of education. And, yeah. That's pretty much it. Cool, yeah.
So what would you recommend as far as, the content ratio, like how many real estate related to how many personal related?
I would try to make it the variety pretty even. So meaning, one a month, one listing piece a month, one personal piece a month, one video per month. Yeah, and again, the whole point, and what I'm kind of teeing you up there is for a 60 touch program. So 60 touches throughout the year to more or less place your name, your face, and your brand in front of your people that know, like, and trust you. So therefore, once they get your stuff, they are more or less programmed to think of you anytime they personally or somebody they know are going to go through a life change, right? It's the whole point of it. And we say 60 touches instead of 33 touches like Gary Keller told us, because a couple things. One, Gary Keller wrote the MREA in 2003. That was before we had ads on our phones, right? Today's world, we see somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 15,000 impressions every single day. So there's just a lot more noise to compete with. And also, I mentioned the 60 versus a 33 because somebody's going to prefer to be communicated with one method versus the other. Meaning, there's going to be people out there that love email. I can't stand it. I unsubscribe to every single email that comes in my world. I'm also very, very introverted, so I probably won't show up at public events or something like that. And yet, I'll watch video, I'll read newsletters, you know. But there's just some people that just prefer different ways to communicate, right? So that's why we say 60 is ultimately to make sure that we're still, regardless if they're going to unsubscribe from my email or something, they're still at least getting that 33 touches.
Yeah, so 60 touch doesn't mean 60 emails.
No.
Or 60 texts, right? You gotta mix
Yeah.
it.
All this said, this also gives you essentially, so if you're sending out, say, one listing email, one educational based video email, one printed piece, maybe sending out like a postcard or something. It essentially gives you 56 excuses or 56 reasons to simply make 4 database calls per year, right? So for example, hey, I just started this new thing where I'm sending, sending out some educational based videos. Just curious, did you get that email? Cool, what'd you think of it? I know, I messed up all the times, I don't care, whatever, I'm just curious, what's your thing? Okay, cool thing is just know that you're in my VIP list. So if you ever have a question that you want me to shoot a video about, just send me an email, I'll have you shoot a video about it. hey, did you get that postcard I sent? Yeah, I'm starting this new thing where I'm just trying to provide value to my clients. Just want to make sure that, you know, my mail is coming to you, because I meant to send it to you. Awesome, great. Hey, I'm hosting this event. I'd just love to know if you and your family could attend. Can I jot you down? Can I RSVP you? Okay, great. And by the way, you obviously know that I'm in the real estate business. You've supported me in the past. Just curious, who you might know that might be selling or buying in the next 6 months, right? So again, all of this is all designed to tee you up to make 4 simple calls per year, okay? Any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
The one thing I would just add is, keeping in mind as we're talking about video content and creating video content. Here shortly, we're gonna be launching the opening of our new podcast room. And so you guys will have a place with the appropriate tools and resources to actually create the content that.
What?
Yeah.
What's involved?
You can go look.
Okay, cool.
You can go look,
Sweet.
yeah.
It's so nice.
And Don, will you tell us just give us a brief overview of what it is that you do
Oh,
as
yeah.
a part of the Dave Hook team, as part of Rooted? and-
Yeah, so I do marketing for the Dave Hook team, marketing director, started doing marketing in 2019 for their team, I think. But more or less what I do is I help them I build out their touch plan, so I build out, optimize that and run that, and then their social media plans. Any sort of like design work we do for them as well. But for Rooted, we have probably now at this point 25, 30 different clients nationally that we help them to more or less deploy their 60 touches. So while we don't do 100% of the work, okay? One very important thing I kind of failed to kind of mention is that, so Dave Hook, which I don't know how familiar you guys are with Dave and the structure of his team, but Dave's been around, you know. Well, he's been around since 2002-ish, somewhere around there. And he built a pretty lucrative real estate team. In 2022, he was what the MREA considers a net $1 million agent. So he netted $1 million by working 45 minutes per week in his business, okay? Ultimately, he has this 60 touch program to blame on that success. And while I say, you know, we take care of 80% of our clients' 60 touches, there's still 20% that come from the team owner. While Dave hasn't met with anybody in the last 7 or 8 years, doesn't even know how to open a door, couldn't tell you how to write a contract. Well, trust me, from what that guy did that. That 20% where he still does this stuff because it's that important, because it's hyper local and it's personal. And he's promoting his name, face, and brand. So like, again, that is, I don't know if that can kind of teach you anything. Again, I kind of preface this whole thing by who time blocks their attraction, you know, every month. Like, what efforts are you gonna do to attract new business into your world? Dave hasn't sold anything in almost a decade, but he still knows attraction is super important, right? Okay,
The space is everywhere.
that's right. It's omnipresent.
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.